cracking, mi gente? This your boy D once again, coming live to you guys. Stopping by to share some love and a little bit of knowledge. As you guys can see of the thumbnail, this is a topic that one of the subscribers has been asking me about to make a video regarding this situation, this so-called operation. And I have been telling I would do it, I would get to it. Unfortunately, I haven't had the time enough to sit down and actually do the research and do it. But now that I found myself a little bit of time, here I am. I would to subscribe, like I always say to you guys. You guys made the channel happen, so I'm here for you guys. With that being said, now let's get into the topic. So let's get it. MS-13, as you guys know, is a transnational gang. It's around a lot of different states, a lot of different countries, and a lot of different places. Sometimes us within the members, we sometimes don't know where the homeboys might be. Sometimes we don't know where they're going or where they're established until they reach out to certain people, and then we start hearing either through the news or through them channels that we place in place to hear the good news or the bad news, whatever transpires. So sometimes we don't get the information until they're already established. So particular case I was speak on about, with two exceptions, I heard a word of what was transpiring and what we were being told through the homeboys or through phone calls. I actually didn't take part in this situation. I wasn't aware of most of the situations. I was only aware of certain details, even though I was in a place where I could get the information. I wasn't privy to a lot of it because due to the fact that I didn't ask questions for multiple reasons. Sometimes you want to stay away, especially when an indictment is taking place. You don't want to ask too much details or questions. You know, you get what you get, and then we go from there. We build whoever's in charge of the investigation and start doing their homework. We go from there. We get the information that we get, and then we roll with it. So beforehand, before I even get into details of this topic, of this Operation Matador in Santa Maria, California, that not only took place in Santa Maria, it took place in different counties and states. It took place also in Santa Barbara, and it took place in Ohio and different states. So it was a big operation that the police and the feds and everybody else that was involved did. So I will speak only to the knowledge that I inquired through the investigation or researches that I did, and hope I can satisfy the people that ask me about this. If not, from beforehand, I said dispensa. So Operation Matador was basically based on the Santa Maria clique, or what they call Mara Salvatrucha Locotes or Santa Maria Locotes. So Santa Maria is a county a little bit down south. And through what I gathered was basically the homeboys that came and established that clique, Santa Maria clique, they came from El Salvador. They were falling into the program of La Rafla Nacional, or El Programa 503, or the Program 503, which is the Salvador program. Most of the homeboys that came into that place, Santa Maria, basically were under instruction for the older heads and from active members that were giving them the orders, basically. So as I was told, was the base of this situation was they send this group of individuals, which was MS-13 gang members that were activated already in El Salvador. They were banging the clique over there. I'm not 100% sure of the clique. I got different names thrown up there. Some of them told me were Parview. Some of them told me were Centrales. There's a couple different cliques names in the mix. And actually, the articles that I read, they also mention what clique they were from. So I cannot specifically say, and I asked some of the homeboys that were present at the time when we were leading on this table, this mesa, they actually didn't know the specific clique. There was different barriers. Basically, what it means that there were different homeboys from different clique that came over here doing the bidding of the homeboys in El Salvador. So didn't specify which clique they belonged to. So I cannot hear say they were part of this clique in El Salvador and they came here established this in the city. So I can't speak on that because I won't lie to you guys. So the purpose of them getting sent over here to the United States basically was, the general purpose was, come to a city, establish themselves as a clique, and then start doing what they needed to do. Either was there's enemies around them, taking care of them, and then start making money for them and start reporting them to El Salvador. And I said to El Salvador for the simple fact that they were belonging to that program. They belong to the 503, the El Salvadorian program. So they had to report back to their homies back then, to the people that they got sent to. So they started this clique. And the Operation Matador took them a little bit of time. Due to this time, they were establishing themselves into, I believe, was 2016, and so further on, 2012 as well. I guess it started from 2012 to 2016. That's when they got taken down. So basically, the whole point of view of this, or the whole point of this generation, was to come to the city of Santa Maria, establish themselves as a gang of MS-13, as a sub-clique or as a clica, and they started doing the biddings of what the big homies down there were telling them. Come here. If there's anybody that gives you guys brief, you guys handle it the best way you guys know, which is violence. And before I get any further, I'm not glorifying violence. I'm not glorifying what they did is right. I can do that because now that I open my eyes, I've seen a lot of things that now was supposed to take in place. So I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, they did good, they did bad, not. But I'm just telling you guys the story from the perspective. So they came and established themselves as a clique within the months that they were doing these biddings. They start actually committing gruesome crimes. There were 16 individuals that got snatched up on the indictment from Santa Maria in different counties. Santa Barbara was two of them. I believe Ohio was a different one. There was different constants and people that got involved. But the Santa Maria guys were 5 of them, I guess, that were in charge. So how they came about, how the police start getting wiretaps on them, because the article said there's wiretaps around them and everything else. These dudes were committing murders left and right. I mean, they got charged. Each individual got charged 40 counts. That's a lot of counts. That's a lot of crimes. And each individual that were out of the 5 of them, they got convicted and found guilty, were facing life sentence without the possibility of parole. Out of those 5 individuals, most of them got charged either with the murders or with the attempted murders or the knowledge of those murders. And one of them was an interesting case because it involved a family member of a homeboy. I guess, I don't know what transpired. I don't have the details down packed to it, so I can't speak on it. I guess this kid came over here and the homeboys knew that his cousin had done something wrong to the clique. So their job was to track this kid down with his uncle and kill him. The feds somehow got a wind of it and started tracking their phones. They were already monitoring their phones. They were monitoring the calls. There's a lot in the wiretaps that they're talking reckless. I mean, these kids were going on a sick one, talking about this and that. We finna hit this and this, fool. We finna do this and that. It got to the point where the police didn't have enough evidence or concrete evidence that they had to put female officers undercover to try and sweet talk these guys into giving up more information regarding the plans to kill a witness and the crimes that had committed before and the crimes that were about to happen. That's how desperate the police had gotten to that point, because these dudes were murders deep inside of it. They had already committed those crimes. 10 murders, homicides, 10 homicides. That's how much gruesome these kids have got. And I say kids because some of them were 20, 19-year-old. The oldest I think was like 30 some. But that didn't even excuse the fact that these kids were literally under the supervision or order from people in El Salvador, were like, whoever gets in your way, go and handle it. Meaning, you do whatever it takes for you to secure this spot for us, start making money, reporting it out to us, so we can keep making these moves that we're making. And this was something that I never had agree on it, and I never understood. And this is something I would talk about in my future videos. MS-13 as a gang have become different from the perspective and the point of view when we enjoyed it. Before it was, if you want to come to the hood, you come voluntary, you do what you do, you get your thing, and then. But from 2000, I believe it was 10 down the road, it started becoming a little bit of something else. Even in El Salvador, it was either you live in this area, if you're from this neighborhood, you represent this neighborhood, you either get jumped in or we kill you. That's not what MS stood for back in the days. So for me to start hearing stories from different people that, hey, if you didn't join the gang, they were killing you, they were taxing your family, they were doing this, they were boo-bopping you every time chance they get, they were putting the pressure on you so you could join and become a homeboy. It was mind-blowing because if you force somebody into doing something, the quota, their heart is not in it, and 9 times out of 10, what they're going to do is they're going to find a route to escape, and that escape sometimes is telling, and then it's a done data. So Operation Matador, what it had unique was, I guess, they had this individual only answering to El Salvador. They weren't answering to no other program. They were refusing to accept any call that came from prison, they came from the streets with prison ties. They were refusing to acknowledge the SUR program. These dudes came with the mind where we're mareros, we're MS-13, and that's what we're going to claim, and we're going to bang it out to the wheels fall off. And that caused a big issue within the prison system, plus within that clique. Because you guys got to remember, that clique was close to the Santa Maria Sureños, which has a Pili, which has senoras around the Santa Paula. They had the mean old man Toto. And that became an issue because now these dudes were not following the SUR program. These dudes were not respecting the rules that were already stated and laid before they got here. These rules were giving the Sureños the blues. They were smacking them back and forward. I'm not glorifying, so don't get it wrong. I'm telling them from a perspective of a gang member that can happen. So it started to become an issue. When these dudes get indicted and they go to jail for multiple counts, multiple things, now they're in a county jail. These dudes still refuse to program with the Sureños. These still dudes refuse to acknowledge the SUR program. They are refusing to even acknowledge they're part of some type of program. They're saying we're MS, we answer to nobody but El Salvador big homies, and that's it. Which created a big friction because, as you guys know, MS got ties to the Mexican Mafia, so it had to be reported. And they were making a killing, they were making money. So they had drug spots. There was a lot of crimes that got put on them. The indictment is 37, I believe 39 pages long. The indictment on itself. There was a lot of going on. Dope selling, car stealings, stuff going on. But the Santa Maria Police Department took a look into them because of the murders. The homicides that were happening in that county, I guess, didn't see that much violence until these individuals came. And in the article, they even mentioned due to the criminal activities that MS was known for, the violence, they even mentioned one incident that ring bells with me because, as I will talk about my case a little bit down the road, the witness that the government presented against us, the star witness that they used against us, was an individual that had hidden his past from, I guess, his handlers, as you call them, or whatever you guys call them, people call them when they become cooperating with the officers or with the FBI. This dude lied to the people that were managing him. And we later find out in trial that this dude had ordered the murder of some people in a bus. That he had ordered a bus to get shot up and killed, and them, like 20 some people got killed. And when I was reading the articles, I seen that there was an individual that ordered 28 killings of a passenger bus in Honduras. And that was the dude that told on us. They sat there and say, oh, I was insane, I didn't doing this for the money, I'm not doing this for protection. So it came crashing down, and I actually got pissed off because they were actually talking about this dude that lied on us and gave us this much time and the Fed still used them. So I mean, but that's beside the point. So The problem now these dudes face when they're in the county is either you get with the program or we're shooting you down. And you guys know the Mexican Mafia doesn't play about their program. The Sureños don't play about not respecting their program. So that's when the big issue came about. These dudes didn't pay taxes through all the dope dealing they did, all the drugs they selling. Plus, they were giving the Sureños the blues, so people were not happy with them. People were not happy with these dudes coming to town, trying to take over a town that was already established through proper channels. They came and wrecked this town. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They were charged with at least 10 murders. Lord knows how many of them they got away with. I can't speak on it. I wasn't told. I wasn't privy to the facts, but believe me, it came to the point where these dudes were not acknowledged any type of phone calls or any type of dealings that the senores decide, the Pilis, the Mexican Mafia member decide to greenlight them. They wanted to greenlight them. The reason why that didn't took place was because the homeboys reached out to the homeboys in El Salvador, was like, you gotta send a message to these dudes, because if not, these fools will catch the green light and they will catch the blues, and they's gonna create a big conflict, because if they decide to step on the main line, there will be homeboys that will defend them, because due to the fact that they're homeboys. So that created a big issue. And now 5 of them were found guilty and were facing life without parole. The other men were still in trial. But the crazy part that drew my attention to in the article was 11 of them were found no guilty. So I was trying to figure out whether these 5 individuals committed ultra murders or they didn't have enough proof to convict the other guys. I'm not saying I wish prison on anybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just asking, like, what transpired, what happened there. Did they took deals, did they made some type of arrangement, what transpired? Because there's a female there as well that it says her case is still ongoing, and active. So I'm just trying to figure out what happened. The plot to murder this witness basically became about this dude's working his cousin, which one I believe name was Modesto. He had done something that sparked the interest of the homeboys down in El Salvador. So this kid came over here. Him and his uncle working in a restaurant. 4 individuals walked. The 4 defendants walked in there trying to kill it. But the messed up part was the feds knew about it because of the phone calls. They were wiretapped. They snatched this kid up, put him in protective custody, and yet still the dudes, the homeboys that were following him, didn't know that the dude was in protective custody. So they still keep looking for him. And eventually one of them were like, hey, I think the chicken had fled the coop. I think that's the phrase that they use. So I was like, what the? So they eventually figured out the dude had left and they couldn't take care of him. They couldn't kill him. So then in a couple of days later, they get busted. All of them. So like I said, I don't know what clique they were from. They came here with instructions of starting a new clique, taking over, making money for them, and start sending, which they accomplished. They were sending money to El Salvador, helping the homeless in the penal system down there, and they were refusing to it. The point they came down to an agreement which was reached between the homeless at that time. They were politicking in the mesa with the senores, were basically, we'll bring these homeboys in as homeboys under the SUR program if you guys giving a pass for killing all the sureños that they killed. I guess they were beefing with the sureños real tough. They were putting the blues on. Toto, who's from Santa Paula, I guess is a nearby city. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I haven't looked really deep into this. But he was one of the person that was really pissed off about that. There was a couple of the individuals that were pissed off about it because these dudes came from the mess, and as you guys know, a mess is not really liked by that many people. They came and put the city on fire. A lot of the stuff they did, they weren't agreeing on it. So a lot of the stuff that they had took place, they didn't really like. And now you have 16 individuals. Some of them are still fighting cases. 5 of them are convicted for life sentence. I believe 2021, they more than likely they hit the prison system now. From what I gathered from the people that I talked to just came home, some of them dudes did catch the blues behind those incidents in the street. Some of them dudes got a DP coming from the homeboy, And some of the dudes were like, hey, you either do a paro of favor, clean up for the big homies, or you're done. So now it was like you either do this for the person that you didn't want to acknowledge from the beginning and hate it because you were following this type of instructions for somebody, or you're dead. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Is either they came here with instructions from people from El Salvador with a mess instruction, real direct message. You guys do this. This is what you guys gonna do. This was expected. No questions asked. They got to California and they established themselves to start doing what they did. Then here comes the Mexican Mafia. We want to cut. We want everything that comes to, but not just that. We want to cut. We want you guys to stop banging in this city. This city is a no ground for you guys. You guys are not supposed to be growing anymore. Because, like I will tell you guys in a further video, if you guys don't know, the reason why MS in LA didn't grow as big as I couldn't have was because of that. The Mexican Mafia had a lot to say so in that. They saw us growing as big as we could, and they put a clip to it. They put a stop to it. They told the homeboys, you guys come to us, you guys start programming with us, but that's it. You guys cannot be making more clicks. You guys cannot be taking over more neighbors. You guys cannot be doing this. The clicks you guys have, that's the clicks that are gonna pay taxes. This is the clicks that we're gonna accept in the program, and that's it. And the homeboys laid down and said, yeah, let's do it. Because if it wouldn't be for that case of that simple fact that they didn't allow it to grow, I believe MS would have run through whole LA, creating a whole war. I wouldn't say it wouldn't be pretty. I would say it would be a bloody word because there's a lot of Sureños out there that would have fought for it. But I believe they would have spent more, which now that I see the light, I say, man, I'm glad they didn't spend more because that comes down to more violence, more crimes, a lot of stuff. But the message that I'm trying to prepare to you guys is, I promised somebody I was going to do this video. Like I said, I was locked up when this case was taking place. I was actually in the shoe, so I didn't have that much communication with the homeboys. I just know that when I hit the yard back again in Santanella, there was a homie there from Ventura County, and there was a dude named from Santa Maria that I met there, one of those individuals. Not that individual specifically, there's somebody else that was claiming Santa Maria, and he was a homeboy, and I literally spaced out because he told me he was from Ventura County, the other dude from Santa Maria, and I was like, huh? Oh no, wait, what? I didn't know we had clicked there, so it caught me by surprise. So, like I said, I didn't know much about this case. I didn't know deep knowledge of it. I knew what transpired, what could happen, and that I know some homeboys got the blues, and some of them did green light. And there were some individuals that decided to say, you know what, fuck this, I'm not doing this no more, and decide to go to the other side because they didn't want to respect the SUR program. They didn't want to follow it for the simple fact that they still had ties down there to the motherland, El Salvador. And then decide to say, Charles, I'm not going to follow something that I don't believe on or I don't respect. Because I looked at from their perspective, I looked at from the point of view, it's like, we came to the city with instruction, we established ourselves, then we have these guys telling us we can't do that, but we have the homeboys telling us, so who we should listen to. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Sometimes we get into the penal system and we don't know what's going on. We have a llavero, this and the black telling us this, and you have another bloquero in the yard telling us this and this. And that's when things can get wrong, because sometimes they send you on a jale and you don't know it's political involved, and you go and do what you're supposed to do, and then at the end of the day it happens to be a bad call. So who's gonna get caught the short end of the stick? The person that did it, which is us or me, let's say, so for example. So that's what I'm trying to preach you guys. Before you guys make that step and take that step and to say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, actually ask yourself, take the time to reflect and be like, is it worth it? Can I do this? Because at the end of the day, they won't respect it. They don't care whether it's come from the homeboys or it come from the Mexican Mafia. They don't give a rat ass about you. They want you to get something done. They want you to do this. And once it's done, they will be like, oh, muchas gracias. Then you get to prison, and it's like you have to follow this now. And since you're not used to it, you refuse to it because you can get a hold of the person that you were talking to in the streets, and it puts you in a predicament whether either you get hit, you get removed from the yard, you deem no good, And then you're looking at the homeboys. I'm like, hey, I did what you guys asked me. Why you guys are not backing me up? And that's what prison politics do. That's what I want you guys to think about that. Don't just because sometimes we get brainwashed or because your big homie from the Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, whatever you coming from tells you to do this. Don't just blindly believe that that's the truth and go and do it and then get yourself in a predicament where you won't even see your mother, wife on it again. That's the message that I'm trying to get across. It's worth it. You fighting for a cause that at the end of the day will turn you around and says, we didn't have nothing to do with it. They did it on their own. Here you guys go. Serve the homeboy in a platter, getting whacked so because you guys don't want to deal with the repercussions or with the headaches, and then you guys wash your hands and be saying like that was it. That's what has been happening within the homeboy system with the MS-13 gang members. We simply saying, hey, we didn't know nothing about it. Here you guys are. Deal with him as you guys please. Turn him over to the Mexican Mafia knowing damn well that they don't like the homeboy getting hit. And then you don't deal with it no more. And when the homeboys question you about it, you be like, hey, there was nothing I can do. That fakeness, that two-faced stuff is what I'm trying to tell you guys. It's not worth it, man. I've been there, done that, felt the pain, and it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. I will tell you guys about a case, an incident that I witnessed regarding my homeboy Red from Adams, Rojo from Adams. He's a well-known figure in the MS-13 gang, and what transpired to him, what was done to him, and the grimy politics behind it. And I say this with all due respect to all fractions. The Mexican Mafia was that. The reason why we sometimes allow ourselves because we blindly believe into somebody that's brainwashing us. So before you take that step, start deciding to game bang certain set, whether you're a Sureño, whether you're a Norteño, whether you're a MS, whether you're a two-streeter, whatever you transpire or inspire to be, think about if it's worth you going into prison and giving your life and your homeboy turning his back on you and you getting hit behind because he wants you to get hit and like you. That's what the prison system does. He turns your best friend or your very good homeboy against you because that's what politics do, man. That's what these political figures do. I've seen it time in and time out, and it's sad to say it, but it's true. I will drop more prison content stories coming up in the next day or so. I got a couple of them of pegadas or hits that I witnessed myself. I wasn't involved, but I witnessed myself. I know people keep asking me about dropping more prison contents. And then one of the guys give this person this Matador operation thing. Like I said, I do my best every single time to answer you guys the questions, to do the best I can with these videos. I hope this is satisfy you guys. I'm to do better the next time, man. Haters always gonna be haters. People that support me know what I am. I speak the truth. I can sit here and make up a whole story about I was there, this happened, this transpired, because then I would be a liar. And I can't do that to you guys. So I only give you update what I know, what I heard about it, what transpired, and this is what it is. But before anybody, any youngster out there that can listen or hear it, before you make any decision about picking up the gun or game banging, thinking about what you lose, what can you lose, and was it worth it? Nothing is worth your life or your time, man. I can guarantee you that from personal experience. I lost 15 years of my life due to a so-called code or a so-called belief. And here I am with what? With a bunch of holes in my body from the riots and everything that transpired. So we can do better. We can be better. We don't have to pick up a gun and game bang. Go to work and do better, man. As you guys already know, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, leave a comment. I'll make sure I get back at you guys as soon as I can. Might take a little while because I'm working double, but here I am, man. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys, everything you guys do. I appreciate the support and I appreciate the love. Always stay tuned. With that said, I'm out. Let's get it.